So this is me, and that's my role at Channel 4. Naturally, this means that I'm engaged in the theory and practice of phishing in organisations quite regularly. And for the purposes of the beginning of this session, at least, I'm inviting you all to join my team. So you're now all honorary members of the Channel 4 Security Operations Managers team, which is me. And we're in the position where we are about to report to the exec on the impact of our security training and awareness programme, which included phishing, over the past 4 quarters, following a baseline phish in Q1. Okay, we all got that. We know the scenario, right? Be brave, say no if I need to say it again, because I sometimes am confusing. Now, I'm going to need a volunteer who's going to read out to the exec the results shown on this chart for the impact of our programme in Q2, Q3 and Q4. Any volunteers? Right, volunteer or I'll pick people out. Okay, so we've got one at the back. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to the team.
Hi.
Good, good. So what are we telling the exec today? What can we see?
So you've got 64% clickers in Q1, 32% in Q2, 16% in Q3 and 6% in Q4.
Brilliant. And what was our target over the year? What were we aiming to get to? Approximately.
Less than 10%.
Less than 10%. Did we get there?
Yes.
Good. And are we better than the industry norm?
Yes.
Excellent. So that's good, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that's good. Well done, us. And so the next question we have to answer for the exec is, are we more or less secure in Q4 as a result of that intervention than we were in Q1? Vote. We'll have a vote on that one, then it's not all on one person, because that's a bit mean. So if we are more secure, hands up. Okay. If we are less secure, hands up. Well, right. If we don't know, hands up. Yeah, I spend so much of my time in that space, I really... Honestly, I get it. Right, so what we've just seen here is a very typical kind of red teaming approach to phishing, right? So we treat it like an offensive exercise, which has a pass or a fail. Fail is clicking, just in case there's any confusion. So a fail is clicking. It's red teaming, so we're launching an attack against our own colleagues in order to find out how resilient they are to that attack. And a low click rate means we are highly resilient to attack. Does that seem like a fair summary of that approach? Yeah? Okay. Do you think it's a good way to do things? Okay, let's have a look. What does it actually tell us? That's 6%, right? That's 6% fail rate. What does it actually tell us? So if we look at the 6%, it tells us that 6% of people actually failed, right? So they need support. Brilliant, we can go in and give them support. They need extra training and practice. The rest of them, what do we know about them? Yeah, hold that thought. Right. The truth is, we've got no idea what they did. The only thing we're measuring is failure, and we're defining failure as clicking. So we've no idea what other people were doing. which is a worry, right? Because that's 94% of the organisation. We don't know how they're behaving in a crisis. And we're calling that a pass.
Can I just check something?
Yeah.
You basing that on the fact that when you're setting up your phishing campaign, your certificate was correct. When I do set the benchmark to see that, then that would then pick, even if maybe they didn't click or they didn't do anything else, you would actually mark them into just to make sure that
Right.
you get it right.
So I'm basing my observations today on the data that I'm showing on the screen, which is only measuring click rates. Okay. So click rates, I call them the deceptive metric. Execs love them, right, because they feel really concrete and they feel like we're making progress. We've got down to 6%, we must be more secure. However, what's the problem? Varying difficulty. That's the first problem. For each of these quarters, a fish was sent. Were each of those fish of equal difficulty, or were some more difficult than others? Were they harder to spot or easier to spot? That would impact the data, right? If you get a really super easy one, everybody's going to spot it. Varying targets. And when I say varying targets, I mean shifting populations within the business. Do we always target the entire organisation? And does that organisation stay stable? We have churn, right, in our businesses, so we get new people in all the time. And some areas of our business are probably better at spotting fish than others. And fingers crossed for the security team on that. They're probably a bit more clued up on phishing. And we can also have data manipulation. So if I was looking at this as somebody in my industry and noticing that we just went immediately under the target that we needed to be at by Q4 in order, say, to get our bonuses, I would be wondering very much if that last fish had been manipulated to be super easy to spot so that fewer people would click on it. It's very, very, very easy to manipulate the data.
Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah. We're coming. Right. Okay. So my point is that traditional red fishing approach, taking the red teaming approach to fishing, misses the point. Because what we're trying to do is demonstrate that if we're under attack, our people know what to do. And ideally, right, they're going to spot it and they're not going to click on it and they'll report it. That's like the ideal scenario. But phishing is getting harder to spot because now we've got, more complicated fish. They're more targeted. Because of AI, it's easier to do the harder type phishing more often. So the reality is they're not going to be able to be 100% on not clicking because we'll all click on a fish. It's sure to happen to us at one point or another. And also we're very distractible as human beings, so even though we might normally not click on something, we are going to be clicking on things depending on where we are, what we're doing, what's going on around us, blah, blah, blah. So it's unrealistic to ask people to be 100% on not clicking on fish. And if you make not clicking the only pass criteria, then you're not preparing your business to be resilient. You yourself don't understand how resilient your business is because that's all you're measuring. And in this model, on that basis, passing could still be failing. So you don't click on it, right? So you pass the test, but you don't report it either. So that's really a fail. It's failing the business because our businesses depend on us reporting things as soon as we notice them. We try and develop this reporting culture so that we can address the issues as quickly as possible and get on top of it. So really, when we talk about this low click rate being a measure of increased resilience, it's not. A low click rate is a low click rate on its own, doesn't mean a lot. So it's not very useful as a measure of resilience. Okay, I've just got to say, this fish, I love it. Doctor's use, anybody? Do you, red fish, blue fish? I think I got a bit overexcited with the doctor's use thing, so there's more. Here we go. So what I'm arguing for is instead of this offensive security approach, which actually fails our business and tells us nothing, we go for more of a blue team approach, where we're looking to understand our own resilience to attack, to identify our vulnerabilities, and to plug them against future attacks. So in security, this is blue teaming. I'm calling it blue fishing, because I like Doctor's use and the fish, and we're used to calling them fish. So this is more of a diagnostic exercise than an offensive exercise. And in this scenario, clicking is one of many metrics that we're going to look at, but reporting is the thing that indicates to us if we have a high degree of resilience to attack. So imagine if on that last fish, we broke down that 6% into something else. So we have, say we had the clickers, 4% of those clicked, and 2% of them, naughty people, clicked and submitted their credentials as well. So that would give us the 6% fail. 17% did nothing, so they completely ignored it. 24% clicked and reported. My numbers just went off for some reason, but anyway, say 24% clicked and reported, and 52% straight up reported. I think we can see more what our exposure is in terms of vulnerability by looking at that range of behaviours than we can just by talking about whether somebody has passed or failed on a click rate or not. So clearly, clicking and submitting data and not reporting it is naughty, red cross. Clicking and not reporting is naughty, red cross, it's a fail. Doing nothing is also a fail. Right, why is it a fail when it's not put up in so many tests? Why am I saying this is a fail? Yeah, they're not doing what they need to do to defend the company when it's under attack. What about clicking and reporting? That's a funny one because it's a green cross. Semiotically confusing, right? It's wrong and it's right. So why do I love this one so much? Yeah, that is actually my favourite bloody metric of all time because it means they trust us. They trust that they can tell us something has gone hideously wrong here, help, right? And know that they're going to get the help and support that they need. And of course, 52% reported, excellent, well done, gold stars, suck-ups, right? Where we can leave you alone in future phishing tests, or at least reduce the frequency with which we fish you, because we know that you know what to do.
Can I ask what the missing 1%?
That's me stuffing up my numbers. I'm so sorry. And also, I have to add in layers of rubbish that my laptop died yesterday, and I wrote this months ago, so I haven't had a chance to practice it before I got here, other than on my phone in the taxi, which I didn't notice that, Okay. So the rules of blue fishing. We focus on reporting as the key behaviour, and we make sure we measure that. And if people are not reporting, they are not passing the test. right? It's not all about the clicking. It's a bit about the clicking. Yes, we don't want you clicking. It's mainly about the reporting. When we do see clicking, we do a root cause analysis on it. People click for a lot of different reasons. One of my most astonishing in a different organisation, not Channel 4, she hastens to add, was the discovery that although 30% of our workforce were accessing their email in Outlook on their mobiles, we had not in fact enabled the phishing report button for the mobile version of Outlook. So they were being targeted with lots and lots of extra phishing and being told off for something that they had no means of reporting. And also they had that hideous position of having to hold a link to hover over it on their mobile to see where the destination was, as we're telling them in our training, hover over the link, see where it's going. And then, of course, if you're doing that and you're riding in a taxi and you go over a bump, that hovering over the link is actually, oh dear, I've clicked the link and now I'm going to get a follow-up about that. It's important to know what the email environment of the people you are phishing and who are failing looks like, because you cannot target your training specifically enough when you're delivering it to an entire organisation to account for every situation. So, and some of it, by doing root cause analysis, you discover the strangest things. So we'll take, for example, the idea that we all know how to use Office, right? And we know how to use Outlook, and it's got all these great facilities, and we can use them to streamline our life and make us all more effective and proficient at what we do. However, if you go into, say, the external comms department, who have lots and lots and lots of external email coming into their inboxes, or the talent department or something where they're getting lots and lots and lots of external email, hundreds of emails a day sometimes, and then you discover they don't know how to set up a mail rule, you can understand why confusion reigns in their inboxes at that point, because they're actually scrolling through hundreds, maybe thousands of emails, and mistakes happen. So if you show them a simple thing that's not cybersecurity at all, it's this is how you use Outlook and set a mail rule, that can have a huge impact on how many mistakes they're going to make, because they're cutting down the opportunity for mistakes, which is not the sexy side of cybersecurity. I'll admit, mail rules, not sexy, but it is very effective, and that is why root cause analysis is really important. If you want to make a difference, you have to know and understand why people are making mistakes and give them the tools to avoid that. We should reward good behaviour, particularly that green cross good behaviour, where when people do things that are naughty, accidental or wrong, like that, and then hold the hand up and say, I did the thing, help, that should be rewarded. And it should be rewarded in a way that is meaningful. And I always recommend using internal reward systems that are quite often tied into evaluations for performance. And that makes it visible to everybody else as well who's in their management chain, so they can see how well that person is doing, and it reflects then in their personal reviews at the end of the year. And above all else, doing nothing is never a pass. I cannot, for the life of me, think of another test where doing nothing gets you a pass. Can you imagine going to sit your driving test? Right? Are you fit to be on the roads? I'll go and do the driving test. I turn up, I run the driving instructor over, I failed the test, right? I failed. Are you fit to be on our roads? I don't turn up. Oh, okay then. Off you go. And yet we're doing that with our networks, right? If we don't measure and insist that people engage with things, then we're on a hiding to nothing. We've no idea what our resilience is if we don't know what our people are doing. And that is the simple message. The message is you must engage. Doing nothing is never enough.
Sorry, totally different in relation to what you were saying about how people manage their output.
Yeah.
What if that email comes from an outlet to look at on a round and they've not looked at that? There's still an element of, if they've got control of their inbox, they might not have seen it, and therefore that's a good thing as well.
Well, is it? Because what happens, of course, is when we look in our inboxes, we assume that our inboxes are our world, right? So we have a phishing email, and we assume that we've got a phishing email. What we don't assume is 300 emails the same are sitting in other people's inboxes. So we want to kind of isolate them, right, to put them into a separate folder so they don't click accidentally. And for them, in the same way, to be highlighted as these things need extra care, and to go through it when you're in your right mind to go through it. Does that answer the question? Yes. Okay. Thank you. I think this might be the last slide, but it's anybody's guess. Oh, it was. There you go. So the future of phishing is blue, and thanks for all the fish to Dr. Zeus. Thank you.
Got a few more minutes.
Okay.
So